Hello, and welcome to the Florida Nurse Practitioner, ranked as one of the best medical podcasts in Florida. This is the official podcast of the Florida Association of Nurse Practitioners, the premier APRN advocacy organization in Florida for all nurse practitioners. If you are not a member, you should be. Join today. Just go to flanp.org and click on the red box, Become a Member Today. Members get all kinds of perks, including discounted CEUs, including autonomous practice recertification CEUs, insurance discounts, free monthly CEUs, and plenty more. So join today and make your voice heard. Help us help you. We are here to support all APRNs in Florida to practice to our fullest ability of our education and elevate the APRN profession in Florida. I'm Paul Bond, APRN, your host for this show, and I want to thank you for listening to the show and helping make it one of the 10 best-ranked medical podcasts in Florida. And on today's show, new potential indications for vitamin D, vitamin B3 and COPD, how healthy are vegan diets, or vegetarian diets, and much more. But first, obviously, some housekeeping as usual. First, I want to start by welcoming you to the final podcast of 2024. It's been an eventful year for us. We've hit 50 plus shows now, and we're going strong. The association continues to grow and remains the largest APRN advocacy organization in the state, and we're set for even more growth and positive changes in 2025. Among that growth is the 2025 annual conference. The dates are set for April 30th to May 2nd. We'll be celebrating the 60th anniversary of the APRN profession, and we've come a long way, but we have much more to accomplish as a profession. This year, we've also added a second track of presentations. As always, we'll be having patient care-related topics, but we've now added a second business track. So save the date. We'll be in Central Florida again, so come on out and join us. Learn, network, and have a great time. The call for abstracts is open, but will be closing soon. So get your ideas to us if you'd like to present at the conference. No idea is out of bounds at this point. Some ideas we've received that people would like to see are diabetic care, women's health issues, billing and coding tips or tricks, and business skills. And as an added bonus for the conference this year, I'll be streaming live from the conference for a podcast. So look for more on this as we get closer to the event. And our best-selling book, The Florida Nurse Practitioner Handbook, continues to be widely accepted as a go-to reference. Everything from licensure issues to scope of practice to autonomous nursing in Florida to employment issues is covered. We wrote this book in part because we field numerous questions every week on APRN practice issues. So while some may say all you need to do is read the relevant Florida statutes, or go to the Board of Nursing's website, this is in practice not the case. Add in that there are multiple statutes that may pertain to your question, and you can spend hours or days researching the answer, and you still may not have the answers to your questions. Our handbook does all those hours of research for you, and it helps explain things in a little bit more detail and a lot less legal jargon than the statutes do. State statutes are written by lawyers for lawyers. Our book was written by nurse practitioners who actually practice in Florida for nurse practitioners. So if you haven't gotten your copy of it yet, you should seriously consider it. It'll save you hours of time just researching the law and may help steer you clear of meeting with the Board of Nursing under less than ideal circumstances. It's available as a physical paperback book or digital download, both from Amazon, so get your copy today. And our new committee, the APRN Business Practice Ownership Committee, is going strong. If you'd like to join, if you're considering making a practice of your own, if you own a practice of your own, this is the committee for you. Contact the association for more information on this and how to join. And now for the news you can use. First up, 11 September 2024 from the Journal of Intensive Care Medicine, N-acetylcysteine in intensive care unit patients with acute respiratory distress syndrome due to COVID-19, a retrospective cohort study. Researchers included subjects who confirmed with COVID-19 who were admitted to the ICU between March 1st, 2020 and January 31st, 2021 due to ARDS and necessitating invasive mechanical ventilation. Subjects who received standard of care were compared with subjects who additionally received NAC 600 milligrams twice a day orally. The results indicate significantly improved survival rates in the NAC plus SOC group, both in the unadjusted analysis and after adjusting for confounding factors, such as ARDS severity. NAC is available as a nutritional supplement and is known to have anti-inflammatory properties and is an antioxidant. It's also a powerful precursor to glutathione, which is necessary for the body to help rid the body of free radicals. By doing so, it has many positive benefits, including improvement in kidney and liver function, helping to balance blood sugar, increasing brain health, and potentially lessening symptoms in multiple mental health disorders. As I've mentioned many times before on the show, inflammation is the precursor to pretty much every chronic disease that we know. If you're wanting to focus on preventing inflammation in your patients, NAC should be in your protocols. Next up, 27 August 2024 from the Journal of Diabetes, Obesity, and Metabolism, fish oil supplementation in relation to the risk of chronic kidney disease among patients with diabetes. 24,497 patients with diabetes from the UK Biobank were included by researchers. Overall, 7,122 patients reported taking fish oil supplements. During a mean of 11.3 years of follow-up, 3,533 CKD cases occurred. In the fully adjusted model, fish oil use was inversely associated with the incidence of CKD, which was mediated by serum levels of hemoglobin A1C, C-reactive protein, and high-density lipoprotein cholesterol. Participants who took fish oil supplements displayed the same risk of CKD events, but that risk was delayed by approximately 2.79 years compared with non-users of fish oil. Now, fish oil can help to balance the omega-3 and omega-6 levels in our bodies. The typical standard American diet, or SAD, is extremely high in omega-6s, which are pro-inflammatory. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory in nature, so here again, reducing inflammation helps modulate chronic disease. As APRNs, we are perfectly positioned to use this information to care for our patients. The CDC estimates that at least 58% of all U.S. adults use dietary supplements, so there's a really good chance your patients are using them. Help them learn which ones to use and why, as well as how to use them safely. And next, 5 September 2024, from Critical Reviews in Food Science and Nutrition, the effects of vitamin D intake and status on symptom severity and quality of life in adults with irritable bowel syndrome, a systemic review and meta-analysis. This was a meta-analysis of 12 studies from 15 articles. Quality of life scores improved significantly in deficient populations. There was a non-significant decrease in trends in IBS symptoms shown across all populations. So while the symptom severity did decrease but not significantly, QOL improvement was significant. Studies show that vitamin D deficiency is prevalent at a rate of roughly 40% in the U.S., and that means low levels of vitamin D being around 30 or below. Other studies show higher levels, around 50 or higher, are better for overall health. Now, vitamin D supplements should be guided by blood testing, as levels higher than 100 could be detrimental. So find a way to check your patients for deficiency of vitamin D, and if necessary, get them supplemented, get them on either prescription supplementation, or over-the-counter supplementation for vitamin D. And next, 3 September 2024 from JAMA Open Network, flavonoid-rich foods, dementia risk, and interactions with genetic risk, hypertension, and depression. This prospective population-based cohort study included dietary data from adults aged 40 to 70 years in the UK Biobank, recruited between 2006 and 2010, with a mean follow-up of 9.2 years. This included 121,986 participants with a mean age of 56.1, 55.6% being female, 882 with incident dementia, comparing the highest and lowest quintile of Flavo diet scores, consuming 6 additional servings per day of flavonoid-rich foods was associated with a lower risk of dementia among all participants, those at high genetic risk and those with depressive symptoms. The greatest risk reduction was observed in participants consuming at least 2 of the following per day: 5 servings of tea, 1 serving of red wine, or a half serving of berries, compared to those who did not achieve any of those intakes. Higher intakes of flavonoid subclasses, including anthocyanins, flavin-3-ols, flavonols, and flavones, of which tea, red wine, and berries are the main contributors, supported these findings, showing inverse associations with dementia risk. And once again, dietary changes are being shown to positively or negatively affect our diets, this time concerning dementia. As we know, dementia is a major health concern and is growing in magnitude every year worldwide. As APRNs, we can use this information to help reduce this health burden of dementia for not only our patients but also the healthcare system overall. So educate your patients on the positive health benefits of flavonoid intake. And next, from December 2024 edition of The Lancet, Plant-Based Dietary Patterns and Ultra-Processed Food Consumption, a cross-sectional analysis of the UK Biobank. Dietary shifts towards more plant-based options is increasingly popular, but the quantity of ultra-processed foods, or UPFs, they contain is largely unknown. This study assessed the level of UPF and minimally processed food consumption among regular and low red meat eaters, flexitarians, pescatarians, vegetarians, and vegans in a large data set of the UK adults. The study included 199,502 UK Biobank participants with a mean age of 58.2 years, 55.1% being women. The findings showed higher UPF consumption in vegetarian diets and lower in diets that were modest amount of meat or fish. As APRNs, we are trained to educate our patients in dietary changes, and multiple studies do suggest a higher plant-based diet is healthier. So many of our patients may already be changing their diets to include higher plant-based alternatives. However, we should be helping them make informed decisions of just what to include and to exclude in those diets. And this study showed a higher amount of processed foods in many diets considered quote-unquote healthy, which means they aren't actually healthy at all. Use this information to set yourself apart from other providers and help your patients be healthier. And next, 15 November 2024 from the journal Nature Aging, effective nicotinamide riboside on airway inflammation in COPD, a randomized placebo-controlled trial. 40 patients with COPD with a mean age of 71.9 years and a blood eosinophil count of less than 0.3 times 109 cells per liter, who were ex-smokers and had a smoking history of more than 10 pack years, were recruited into the study. Researchers also recruited the same sample size of healthy lung controls who were all similar in age, sex, and BMI, and who reported never smoking and had no history of lung disease. Participants were randomized 1-to-1 to receive either NR, which is nicotinamide riboside, or placebo for 6 weeks, and attended 3 study visits, 1 pre-treatment, 1 post-treatment, and 1 follow-up in 12 weeks after post-treatment. Patients with COPD were randomized and stratified by COPD assessment tests. Patients were treated with NAD plus precursor nicotinamide riboside, or NR, for 6 weeks and followed up to 12 weeks later. The primary outcome was change in sputum interleukin-8 from baseline to week 6. The estimated treatment difference between NR and placebo in IL-8 after 6 weeks was minus 52.6%, with a 95% confidence interval. This effect persisted until follow-up of 12 weeks after the end of the treatment. Researchers concluded, quote, "Our study demonstrates that supplementation with NR reduced airway inflammation and increased NAD plus levels in whole blood. In exploratory analyses, treatment with NR showed indications of upregulated gene pathways related to genomic integrity in the airways and reduced epigenetic age, possibly through a reduction in its cellular sentience," end quote. NR is vitamin B3. As I've said before, inflammation is a precursor of pretty much all chronic diseases, and COPD is within that group. Vitamin B3 supplementation in this study was shown to decrease inflammation in the lungs, so this may be something to add to your toolbox for your COPD patients, and even those patients who still smoke but aren't yet diagnosed with COPD. And next up, 27 November 2024 from JAMA Dermatology, ultra-processed food intake and psoriasis. This study included 18,528 participants with data from November 2021 through June 2022. At inclusion, cohort participants had been asked to complete questionnaires regarding their diet, sociodemographic lifestyle, physical activity, anthropometric factors, and health status. Researchers then classified certain foods as processed or ultra-processed and applied this to dietary records available from the cohort. Intake of UPF was extrapolated from the proportion of those foods consumed by weight relative to total weight of food and beverages consumed per person. Researchers found people with active psoriasis more frequently belonged in the top tertile of ultra-processed food consumption compared with individuals who never had the chronic skin disease. UPFs are pro-inflammatory, as we've mentioned earlier, so here again, inflammation leads to or contributes to chronic disease, this time psoriasis. While this study was observational, meaning it's harder to ascertain causality, it does point out the likelihood that UPFs at least contribute to increased severity of psoriasis. So here again, as APRNs, we're perfectly positioned to educate our patients on this dietary change. A treatment plan that includes more than just pharmaceutical intervention has a better chance of changing symptom severity as well as quality of life for our patients. So just one more thing to put in your toolbox. And last up, 20 December 2024 from an FDA press release. FDA approves first medication for obstructive sleep apnea. Today, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved Zepbound, which is generic is tirzepatide, for the treatment of moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, in adults with obesity, to be used in combination with a reduced calorie diet and increased physical activity. This was based on data from 2 phase 3 studies of 469 adults without type 2 diabetes, 1 in patients using positive airway pressure or PAP, and 1 in participants unable or unwilling to use PAP. By week 52, those not on PAP had a mean change at week 52 in the apnea-hypoapnea index of 25.3 fewer events per hour with tirzepatide and a modified intent-to-treat population versus 5.3 fewer with placebo. For those on PAP, tirzepatide led to an average 29.3% fewer AHI events versus 5.5% fewer with placebo. Nearly 43 and 49% of patients in trials 1 and 2 had a 50% or greater reduction in AHI compared to placebo, respectively. This is just one more in a growing number of studies showing the benefits of peptides for improving overall health. Peptide therapy is a fast-growing area of both research and treatment, and is something you might consider learning more about. There are multiple sources for this education, and FLANP is in the process of putting together a presentation that will be available for members only in this upcoming year. If you're not yet a member of the largest APRN organization in Florida, you should honestly consider it. We offer more opportunities for education, networking, and advocacy for all APRNs than any other organization in the state. We also literally wrote the book on APRN practice in Florida. Our groundbreaking book, The Florida Nurse Practitioner Handbook, continues to be used by more APRNs and is being used in multiple APRN educations programs in the state. Get your copy today at Amazon in either physical or paperback download. Either physical, paperback, or digital download. My apologies. And again, don't forget to save the date for our upcoming conference, which will be in Orlando again, April 30th to May 2nd. Save the dates to come out and join us for some fun, networking, and a lot of great education. Call for abstracts will be closing soon, so if you'd like to participate as a presenter, please get us the information soon, so we can decide where we can add you in. And that's all I have for you today. This being December 23rd, I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. As always, I sincerely appreciate those of you who listen to and follow the show. It's because of you the show is ranked one of the 10 best medical podcasts in Florida. And as always, this is Paul Bond, APRN, for the Florida Nurse Practitioner Podcast, a presentation of the Florida Association of Nurse Practitioners, the premier organization for all APRNs in Florida, and the largest statewide APRN advocacy organization in Florida. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.